right, before we get into some other things, I want to tag a little bit about what I was talking about last week about specificity, and we're gonna get more into that because I had an experience this week that really relates. If you're going to make choices, and whether that's in behavior or things like, as we were talking about, accents, the more specific you are, the better it will be. And I told you about Robert Duvall when he was in the movie Tender Mercies, going into Texas in specific county to find out a specific accent that he wanted to emulate. And here's this guy, he's a New York guy, he talks like a New York guy, and you would he's done more Westerns and more Texas guys, cowboys, than anybody else in the movie business except John Wayne. And one of the reasons is you can't tell he's not, okay? But it's specificity. And you can't be 1 foot in a bucket of hot coals and 1 foot in a bucket of ice water and be comfy when it comes to choices. You can't do it. It's muddy, and we know it. All audiences are perfect and everything you do reads. That's our strength and our conundrum, okay? So I was telling you about an audition that happened where they asked for somebody with a Portuguese accent, and they specifically said, you will piss us off if you bring in a Spanish accent. They're not the same. So I listened, and I went down to the sounds like Brazilian embassy in Los Angeles and waited for somebody, and I hooked up with this guy I was telling last week. And he thought I was a crazy man, but I said, I wanted to basically ask if he would read this script, and I was going to record it, and then I would, say my lines along with listening to his accent. And he said, well, he worked as a kind of like a cook and a caretaker of this rich family in Beverly Hills, and he had to go shopping. I said, I'll go shopping with you. He went, okay, because he couldn't get rid of me. So he went to the store, and I'm pushing the cart. He's getting vegetables and all the stuff he's cooking for the meal, and I'm listening to him talk. And I'm trying to hear, and it is different. It's very, very different accent, okay? So by this time, I asked him a little bit about himself, and he learned a little bit about me. He was kind of fascinated that I was an actor, etc. So I basically follow him home into Beverly Hills, and he lets me in the side entrance, and there he is, taking out his vegetables and putting them all in, and starts to chop them all up. And I said, do you mind if I tape record you? And he said, no, I just have to get it done in between preparing for the meal. I said, that's fine. So I would give him a page to read while he had, some things cooking and whatever, and he literally read my script into the tape recorder, okay, for me. And then we wished each other well, and I went on my way, and I went home and I worked all night listening and hearing that script. And I went in for those pages with a dead, absolute cold Portuguese accent, okay? Didn't get the job, but I learned something. And that's how I attack my work, and that's how I expect you to attack your work, because I want you to work. The more specific you are, the better there's an old saying in carpentry, measure twice, cut once. It's good in tailoring as well. If you do your work, okay, you have a better chance of success. I don't care if you're building a chair or doing an audition or doing anything. It's not done by accident. And that's what leads me into what I want to talk about tonight. We've been doing a lot of talk about failure and how failure is something that accompanies us in all of our growth. We fail. That's how we learn. I didn't make the rules. I didn't set the system up. I'd have done it a little differently if I had. But that's what we do. And tonight I want to talk about excellence, because that's the other side of the failure coin. When we fail and learn, that is our path to excellence. I want to read you something. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. You know who said that? Aristotle. And if you don't know who that is, Google it. He knew some things. I'm going to say it again. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. And that goes for character. You see the shit that's going on down in the United States? You're seeing character displayed at its absolute worst, and some of the best. But these people got there because of what they repeatedly do. As actors, what does that mean? That means that you don't stop working at your craft. Let me say things that I absolutely know. When I was back in Hollywood, I lived there for 13 years. There were 500,000 actors in Los Angeles,
God.
and 500,000 in New York, okay? Can you imagine how many there are now? Lots. And believe me, some of them are just ferocious, and they are all working on voice and body. Today, there are more actors who can actually sing and dance, play piano. I mean, it's astonishing, because now you have to up your game. You take time off, there's somebody, they ain't taking any time off. They don't do that. They attack it with a fury, because they have the same goals and desires that we do, and they want it. And there's always somebody that will step up while you're on vacation. Okay? Again, I don't make the rules. Excellence is a habit. What you do every day. I play guitar every day. I will never be Chet Atkins, but I'm going to be the best that I can be. I love playing it, and the discipline of playing every day has made me a better guitar player. Period. It's that simple. And I'm not in that for a career, but it's something that you go to the gym every day. You know what? Your body gets better. May not be, world-class bikini fitness or, Arnold Schwarzenegger, if that's what you want to do, but it'll get better and you'll be healthier, So what we do every day counts. And discipline, which goes along with that, whether you're learning your monologues or whether you're studying or doing your scene work or whether you're, singing lessons or whether it's dance or whatever it is, you have to put in the time and you have to put in the effort. And that means daily, not once a week, not twice a week, every day. What do you want to do? How far do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to achieve? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? How badly are you willing to fail? Because the things we were talking about, we talked about Steven Spielberg, and we talked about Oprah and Thomas Edison, but this relates to every single person who's ever accomplished anything. Our theme for the last 3 weeks has been, the one thing they have in common, besides their success, has been failure. But that didn't stop them. In some ways, it motivated them to do even better. And I talked to you last week about one of my many failures. The bigger the failure, the bigger the motivator, and the bigger the change that it will make in your life. And what we tend to do as people, everyday people, if we don't have this consciousness, is we tend to think of failure as something that's really makes us ashamed or makes us less than in some ways. And what we don't understand is that it's a natural part of our desire to accomplish something. So instead of making it our enemy, since we can't eliminate it, you might as well just put your arm around it and say, okay, you and me now, I'm cool, I'm going to keep at it, I'm not going to give up, bless you, bless you, bless you. I'm just going to keep going until I get to where I need to be. And the way you do that is, again, we are what we repeatedly do, and we make excellence a habit. Things that you need to ask yourself along the way is, are you being challenged? Are you growing? Are you being inspired? Do you love what you do? Are you working hard enough? Is there something else you need to do? I want to get into the next segue because it relates to this. I just saw a play over the weekend, and I'm not going to state the name of the play, and I'm not going to say. The director is actually an acquaintance of mine. He's a lovely man, works all the time, and he has a good reputation as a director, and he did the best he could. And the actors in the play, I can't say that they couldn't have done what they were asked to do, because they could, but they failed miserably, all of them. And I was thinking about, first of all, resisting trying to jump up there and fix it, which, nothing wrong with my ego. see it because I've seen the play and I've seen every scene in it in my class. And we worked it months and months and months, and I understand the power of it. It's a great piece of work. And what I understood was that the director did not understand or was not comfortable with human sexuality. Not at all. Didn't understand it.